Hello and welcome to my kitchen here at Trails Inn 62. I'm going to be doing some different things here for jelly. I don't do a lot of jelly. I've mentioned this before, don't eat a lot of jelly. But a lot of people do and a lot of people make jelly, so I'm going to be making a little bit of jelly. Now I made my red bud jelly not too long ago in the spring, and so now it's beginning to be a little bit more jelly season. I'm not going to be doing a lot of jellies with the fruit itself because that's a lot of work. When you make jelly with the fruit, you have to prepare the fruit, you have to cook the juice out of it, you have to strain it. It takes a lot of work doing that. And when you strain your jelly, use a jelly bag, and you have to be careful you don't squeeze it too much or mash it too much through the jelly bag, because then your jelly gets cloudy. So you have to let it drain. It takes a little bit of time. But one jelly I am going to be making from the fruit is going to be prickly pear jelly. These are the prickly pear fruit. Now, these are not Missouri prickly pear, and Missouri prickly pear does grow wild. However, your fruit for the prickly pear jelly here in Missouri is only about this big. So, you know, maybe a fraction the size of this here. Prickly pear jelly here in Missouri is going to be smaller, not as big around. These are probably from Mexico. I bought them at the Mexican store here in Springfield, Missouri, where I get some things at, and they had some of these. In the United States, Arizona has a lot of prickly pear. I know that. That's where my grandpa used to live. We used to go there and we used to get prickly pear fruit. August, September is the season for prickly pear fruit in Arizona. You get the big prickly pears and fruit called tunas. I kind of like the fish, and make prickly pear jelly. My grandma Millie used to make prickly pear jelly like this, and that's where I learned to make it. I wished that I still had that recipe, but it's been 40 years or more since I've actually made prickly pear jelly. So I have no idea whatever happened to that recipe. It got lost in time somewhere. So I've had to look around, find some different recipes for prickly pear jelly, and there's a lot of different ones around. There's a lot of different ways that people make this, and a lot of different methods of doing this, the ratios and all the kind of different things with the juice and the sugar and all that kind of stuff are different from recipe to recipe. It's not an easy jelly to make. That's been my experience, but like I said, it's been a few years, decades, since I made any. But I'm going to try to make some today. I got these from the Mexican store. It takes 8 to 10 of these pears to make the recipe that I'm going to make. It's going to be about 5 or 6 half-pint jars. With the Missouri prickly pear jelly, it's probably going to take 27 or more to make any kind of recipe for this. I made some years ago. I'm trying to think. I worked at a ranch down in southwest Missouri, and they had some prickly pear there, and I picked those. It takes quite a few of the prickly pear fruit, the tunas, in order to make any kind of jelly. But with the big ones, I bought these now at the Mexican store. Now when you harvest these, if you harvest them naturally, wear leather gloves, use tongs to get them. You want the ripe ones are going to be red in color, and those are the ripe ones, although there are different varieties for this. But your basic prickly pear tunas are going to be red in color. Sometimes it might be a little green, but that's with like any fruit that you get. But be careful. They have on the outside, I don't know if you can see those up there, but they have little, these all have stickers in them. They will get in you. They're really fine sticker. They get in your hands. They hurt like the dickens. You will need some tweezers, because invariably you'll get some in your hands. Pick them, burn them off. This is the best way that I've found. Use a pair of tongs, burn them on an open fire. You just burn them off. They're still going to have it on there. So when you handle these, if you pick them, if you harvest them yourself, even if you burn them off and you handle them, use gloves while you're handling them. I peel the skins off. Different recipes do different things. You can cut them up, you leave the skins on them, boil them and all that kind of stuff when you cook them and everything. Takes a lot of straining to do that when you strain them through your cheesecloth and your fine mesh strainers and that sort of thing. Even a lot of people, when they put them in through a food mill or a food processor deal, they leave the skins on. I take the skins off, so I'm going to show you how I do that. Again, sometimes you have to add a little water to these to get the amount of juice that you want. It's like with any fruit. Sometimes you have to add water to it to get the amount of fruit juice that you need. Let me show you how we take the skin off of these. That's our first step, is we're going to take the skin off these. Like I said, this will make 5 or 6 half-pint jars. We'll water bath them like we do any fruit. I use a low sugar pectin. We'll run them through a food mill processor on our KitchenAid and extract the juice from them. But let me show you what we do to start with on these tunas, the prickly pear fruit. Now what I'm going to do here is first I'm going to trim the ends off. Then I'm going to make a slit down the side of it. And then I'm just going to peel the skin off of it. Then I'm going to cut them in half here so that they fit in my processor. Then our next step will be running through our food mill on our KitchenAid. Now once I get the fruit cut up, then I'm going to put it through my strainer here. You can use a hand food mill, or you can use a, I'm going to take this, the scraps and everything here, and the skins and everything, and I am going to put this in a pot, and I am going to heat it up, boil it, try to get more juice out of it, and run it through a strainer. But I won't squeeze the strainer or anything, but I'll run it through the strainer and get as much juice out of it as possible. So I simply drop my juice down in, or my fruit down in, and as I push it through, it goes through. The juice comes out, the pulp comes out the end, and like I said, I will take that and I will heat it up, and I'll get more juice out of that. And this is the skins and the pulp that came out, and I'm going to heat it up. Mix it all together, going to heat it up, bring it to a boil, and cook some more juice out of it. I put a little bit of water in there just to get it going, and it'll mix with the juices and everything to add to it. Now you can do the whole thing by boiling it, by cutting it up and putting it in there, and some recipes calls for leaving the skins on, cutting it up, and you're going to get most of the juice out of it that way. So you can just boil it to start with, do it all that way if you want to. I like using that food mill, gets the bulk of the juice out of it, and then this will get more of the juice out of the skins and everything. From the inside of the skin, there's a little bit of flesh still left in there, and so we'll get this all boiled up, bring this to a boil, and get the juice out of there, and then we'll mix it all together and see how much juice we've come up with. Now we're going to bring this to a boil. We'll boil it about 10 minutes to get the juices out of it, get all the good stuff out of there to make the jelly with. Stir it pretty often so we don't burn it or scorch it on the bottom. Now when we get it boiling good, we're going to take a potato masher. We're going to mash it down so we smash all the juices out of the skins. Get it all mashed down in there. And get all that good stuff out to make the jelly with. Then we'll let this cool. Then we'll mix it in with our other juice that we got. See how much we've got then. We'll probably have more than enough. Remember, with this recipe we need 4 cups of juice, and so we'll pour what we have in here into 4 cups. Alright, we're ready to make the jelly. Now, I'm going to be doing this. There's a couple different ways that you can do this that I've seen. I tried one way before. It didn't work out too good, but I got some nice prickly pear honey. So, but I'm going to try it this other way and see if it works better. But on the recipes you find one way you put in the pectin first to the juice, bring it up to a boil, then you add the sugar, bring it up to a boil, and then can it. I'm going to try, that's the way I tried it. This time I'm going to do it the opposite way, because some of the recipes call for to do it this way, and that is to put the sugar in first and bring it up to a boil, simmer it, and anyway, I'll talk about that when we get to it. But we're going to do the sugar first, then the pectin. Now again, I do take my pectin. It takes 1 box of Sure-Gel pectin, 1 box of pectin, or the equivalent thereof, whatever you're using. That's what you need to measure it by. Now my pectin, I use a bulk type of pectin that I get, and it says that 1/3 of a cup equals 1 package of Sure-Gel. Other types of pectin call for different recipes. One says there's 1/4 cup of the pectin powder is equal to a pack of Sure-Gel. Mine says 1/3. One says 4 tablespoons. So there are different ways. Go with the recipe of the pectin that you have, whatever that says. This recipe that I'm doing for this prickly pear jelly, it says 1 pack of Sure-Gel. That's what I'm going to use the equivalent of. I put a little bit extra in, just to be safe, because I remember, if I'm remembering right, and it's been a few decades since I made this prickly pear jelly, it seemed to me like it was a little more difficult to gel, so it needed a little bit of extra pectin. We'll see. The first batch I did with this, and this is, I'm kind of combining these videos, the first part of it and preparing the fruit and everything, that's all the same. It's the cooking part, so I'm going to do this different because, like I said, it turned out to be a nice prickly pear honey, which is good because I liked it, the flavor's there, it tastes good, and that sort of thing, but we're trying for jelly. And hoping this time we'll get the jelly and not the honey. Like I said before, I haven't made jelly in a lot of years, so we'll see how this goes. But this takes 4 cups of juice. Now that's, like I said, about 8 to 10 fruits, 12 fruits, depending on the size of the fruits. The tunas, what they're called, the good size from the Arizona, Mexico prickly pear. If you're talking about, like, it's wild here in southwest Missouri, you can find it out in fields here, but the pears are only like this big. It takes about 27, 30 of those. So that kind of depends. But anyway, you get 4 cups of prickly pear juice. That's the main thing, regardless of how many of the tunas that it takes, 4 cups of juice. Now, I'm going to use 2 cups of lime juice. You can use lemon juice or lime juice. Some of these recipes call for fresh squeezed lemon or lime, whatever. I recommend you use the bottle because your acidity in the bottle juices is stabilized and standardized. So use the bottled juice for your best results. Prickly pear requires that acidity in it in order for it to be preserved. So it's like a 1/2 cup of lemon juice or lime juice per cup of fruit juice. And it just kind of enhances the flavor. Now, if you're not going to can this, then it's okay to kind of cut that back. The citrus still adds flavor brings out the flavor of the prickly pear. So maybe a couple tablespoons of lime juice, lemon juice per cup of fruit juice, prickly pear juice, if you're not going to can it, if you're just going to make refrigerator jelly. Okay, so but I'm going to can this, and so I'm using a half a cup of lime juice or lemon juice per cup of fruit juice, and I've got that in my pan right here on the stove. 4 cups of juice, 2 cups of lime juice in there to get ready to go, and then we're going to be using 4 cups of sugar. I use low sugar pectin, or no sugar pectin is what I'm using, and that's what I recommend. This is not really low sugar, although some people say that it is. I haven't seen any recipes for the prickly pear that calls for much more sugar than the 4 cups. I think there was one called for 5 cups, but at any rate, 4 cups of sugar, 4 cups of juice, and use a low sugar pectin on it. Okay. Now, I mix my pectin. I take about, I think I took a half a cup of sugar out, and I mix that with my pectin because it will help it dissolve better in the juice. Because when you put the pectin in, if you put it in straight, it tends to clump up, and it's very difficult to unclump. It takes a lot longer to work it. So I mix it in with the sugar, and that's supposed to, you pour that in gradually, mix it in, and that should mix it in better, and it shouldn't clump up as much. So that's what we're going to do. I've got 4 cups of sugar. I've got my 1 package of low sugar pectin mixed with a half a cup of sugar. I took it out of the 4 cups. You don't have to. You can add that little extra half a cup if you want to. I don't like my jelly that sweet, so I just took it out of the 4 cups. You can put the 4 cups and you can put another half a cup in there. It's not going to hurt anything. Okay? Now, we're ready to start this. I'm going to start heating up my juice and get ready to add my sugar to it. Alright, I've got my 4 cups of juice, my 2 cups of lime juice. Put it in my pan here. I'm going to start heating it up. And when I add my sugar and dissolve my sugar, 2 cups of sugar. Actually, it's 3.5. But anyway, I'll put this in, stir it in. I'm going to stir this and dissolve the sugar in the juice. Bring it to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for 5 minutes. We'll bring it to a rolling boil that can't be stirred down. And there we have it. Then we'll turn our heat down. We're going to simmer this for 5 minutes. Keep stirring so that we don't burn it. Now once this is simmered for 5 minutes, then it says to add the pectin and the other sugar. And then we'll simmer that for 2 more minutes. Doesn't say to bring it to a boil. It just says to simmer it another 2 minutes, so we'll do that. I'm just adding in a little bit at a time, try to get it all dissolved in there. As you can see, it's still clumping up a little bit even when it's mixed with the sugar. Okay, I've got it all mixed up good, I think. Looks like it's going to gel. So now I'm going to start adding it to my jars. I'll fill my jars up I'm using half pints. And you leave a 1/4 inch headspace, thereabouts. Nice and messy. Looks like I'm going to be getting about 9 half pints. I wipe my rims with vinegars, I clean those off, I put my lids on, and then I'm going to put them in my canner, water bath them for 10 minutes. Okay, wiped and dried, lids on, rings finger tight. Try not to do that. Some people put their rings and lids on one at a time. I just kind of set all the lids on and then put the rings on. Maybe not the best way, but works for me. Alright, all the rings on, finger tight, and these will go into the canner. And like I said, I'll water bath them for 10 minutes. Okay, so I didn't have those tall half pints, all of them. I had to use some of these little short squatty ones, and they're a little wider, so I can only put 8 of them in the canner. So there's 8 of them in there because I had a couple of these. It'll fit 9 of the tall skinny ones, but not with these short stubby ones. But this one I'm going to try a little different thing. I've seen this before, so I'm going to see how it works. This will be a refrigerator jar, and I've seen people where they say do it like this and turn it upside down and leave it set. So that's just exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it upside down and I'm going to leave it set right back here and see if it sets up, see how it does. And I think it'll maintain the color. I don't know those canned, I don't know if they'll maintain their color. So there we go. Turned upside down. Alright, we have our prickly pear jelly, and it's all done. A couple of things I want to mention. I processed these for 10 minutes. There's a lot of different variations on this. Some people say 5 minutes, some people say 10, some people say 15 to do this. Some say that's it. Some say you have to adjust for altitude and all that kind of stuff. And yes, sometimes you do when you're doing your canning. After everything that I've looked at and saw, 10 minutes I think is going to be good for me in my altitude. I'm a little over 1,000 feet. You know, if you get up too much higher, I would say you have to go, 15 minutes. But this, I'm not recommending it. I'm just saying this is what I do. Okay. The other thing is the one jar that I did on the counter that I just inverted it. You invert it for 5 minutes and then you turn it back. This is not a preservation. Okay, not the same as canning. What this does, this because it was hot and everything, and you do that, it seals it, and it did seal. It did pop down, did ping, but this is a refrigerator jar. This has to go in the refrigerator. This is not preserved, even with the lemon juice in it and the sugar in it, which helps preserve. This is not preserved. All right, this goes in the refrigerator. It will last quite a while in the refrigerator because it has the lemon juice and the sugar, or you can make it without the lemon juice, or lime juice is what I used. But that brings out the flavor of the cactus fruit. Okay, now notice this one stayed red. The processing turns it more of an amber color when it's processed. So now, as far as the gel factor, I did mention that I had done this once. Excuse me, got a little bit on my hand. That I did this once before, and it turned more into a honey. All right, so I did the process a little different, and it explains it in the video. I did it different. It worked out better. My conclusion is, though, that I probably should have used just a little bit more pectin than what I used. I used what it called for, and I just kept thinking about making this years ago, what my grandmother taught me on this. It takes a little bit more pectin, so I should have used maybe a little bit more pectin in this, and it would have turned out good, like I like it. But it did turn out to be gelled. Okay, not perfect, but good enough. As did the countertop one. Alright, both of them taste great, both of them taste good. They just come out two different colors. And once it's put in the refrigerator, it does a little better than before it's refrigerated. So it worked out good. Next time I'll probably add a little bit more pectin to it, maybe a quarter bit more than what I had. And there you have it, cactus jelly. Turned out pretty good. I don't do a lot of jelly. I've started making some now, and it's pretty good. I'm going to make big batches of it, but I will make a little bit more jelly. Not cactus jelly. I've got some of that. It'll last me for a while. This is my most favorite jelly, but I haven't made it for years, and I'm glad I made it. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm not recommending anything. Understand, this is just what I do, and I like it. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you subscribing. I appreciate you being part of us here at Trails N62. So from my kitchen to your kitchen, from my house to your house, till next time, God bless.